Hi everyone. So, so ever since watching Black Mirror, um, I've had reactions to it, and this is only something I saw recently. And even the other day, where I did that vlog about that Black Mirror episode, I still, saw reactions. And today I continued looking at that and investigating that, try to figure out what it is I'm feeling, what is it is I'm experiencing, and why it exists, and a solution for stopping it. Because for me, as a principal, I would like to be able to, in anywhere, in any moment, any situation, be able to stand here without reaction. So, in any horror movie, in any kind of show or image, sound, any kind of moment. And for me, for some reason, these episodes from this series um, lead to reactions which are the obvious reactions to me. And what I've done in the past over the years is when I've had reactions towards something in a movie or TV show or something like that, I would always look at it to understand it. And so here is another opportunity. So the reactions I saw related a lot to do with feeling like when I saw the people in these episodes, it's like very much a depressed kind of feeling. It's like when I see them living their lives, I see them making the wrong decisions, the wrong choices. I see them as being really kind of like evil and really doing what's not best for all and making the worst choices for themselves personally. And for me, that led to emotions of anger, of frustration, of irritation, of annoyance, of even also depression as well, where it's like, how they look just seems so depressing, like the choices they're making, the world that they're living in. And so, I had these reactions and I was trying to like figure out why they're there, like what's the reason. And for me, I looked and I found that there's actually points of that relate to something that I'd worked recently, which was the statement, forgive them for they know not what they do. And that comes from the Bible, from where Jesus Christ was on the cross and basically telling the people around him, that, the soldiers, what they're doing, even the people who are crucifying him, that they do not really know what they're doing. That forgive them for they do not really know what they're doing. They're acting within ignorance. And for me, that, looking at this statement, that kind of sort of what I saw as a partial solution to what I was seeing in the moment, because everyone in this world in Black Mirror, all the characters, they're not really fully aware of what they're doing, of how it is not what's best for all, of how it's affecting others, and they're not fully aware of what kind of life and what kind of world is possible if they were to do what's best for all, if they were to include everyone and really do what's best for every single person and the quality of life that they would have personally. And so, they're not really aware of that. And if they would be really aware of that, then they would be making choices in order to create that. So in that, realizing that helped me. And, but for me, there's still more points to understand. But at that moment of time, that was part of the solution. So it was partial solution. So after looking at that point, I looked at the next step, more of, where is it coming from? And for me, I looked and I saw that had a lot to do with, on a physical level. So I looked at genetics, my genetic history, and, like DNA and programs that are passed through DNA. And so I saw there are two programmings from my family history where I could see this points of being a victim, where it's like wanting to see someone as a victim that's being abused. So there's an abuser there, and there's victims. And throughout the Black Mirror episodes, there is always a victim. There's always someone who is treated very badly, who is abused very much. And for me, that, let's say, is a trigger for me, and that resonated for me within my programming of victim, of being a victim, of being abused, where I would feel powerless, helpless, hopeless, and within realizing that also was a solution. Because for me, within understanding my own programming, that gives me something, that gives me an understanding that allows me to already start changing that. So I saw that as the next part of the solution, the second part of the solution. So within that understanding, I looked at what else I could learn from this. And I saw another genetic programming from my history, from my family history. And this was to take revenge against those who abuse you. And so really wishing them to be dead. And so for me, I relate a lot to this as being a child, where when I was angry as a child with certain childhood family members, when they would get me really mad, I would say those words like, "I want to kill you," and I would say in that kind of sense because when I would play games, we would play video games, and in the video games, we would use the word "kill," where it's like, you would die in the video game. So it became something that's very normal. Now, not focusing so much on the words here, but looking at the emotion of this, I could relate to this a lot because I could see the programming that exists where nowadays, today, within humanity, there's a lot of us, many of us, who wish death to those who are abusers. One example is pedophiles, people who have abused children. A lot of us wish that pedophiles would die, and that would be the best answer. Another example would be anyone who has murdered another person. You would want them to die. And the list can go on to whatever enemies you want. Anyone who you consider doing something very evil, something very bad, how we would wish death for them. How we wish they would to die, and that we would kill them. Now, within looking at this point, I could see this within the Black Mirror, where the same anger towards seeing people who are abusing, who would call abusers in the episodes, to wish that they would die. Now, looking at this point, I obviously don't want to exist in this way, and practically speaking, is them dying really the best answer? Is that really the best outcome? The best outcome that could happen? No. The best outcome that could happen is the people, the abusers, actually change. Instead of them dying and being removed from existence, the best outcome is actually them changing, then atoning, them becoming better, giving something more, providing for others, supporting. So it becomes an addition, a plus to life. So basically rehabilitation, assisting them to change. That's always the best outcome, and that's always going to be true. For pedophiles, for war criminals, for murderers, the best outcome is always that they change, that they be rehabilitated, be supported, be help them to become better. That's always the best outcome. And that's just self-honest. And that's always going to be true. The same thing too with being a victim. If you are abused, like a man comes to you and they abuse you, or a woman, and whatever abuse you want to consider, emotional, physical, even sexual, is being a victim towards the abuse that you have received, is that the best outcome? Is that the best choice? Self-honesty. Self-honesty, no, it's not. It's never the best or good choice to be a victim. It's always best to be normal, stable, continuing as is. Because it's almost as if being a victim is exactly the abuse itself. Because then you already change yourself. You already lose parts of yourself. You already are succumbing to the abuse. I know that this may be really hard to understand. Maybe it seems something that is just arrogant to say because it seems so impossible. But if you just open your minds up to at least the possibility that if it was just as easy as making the decision not to be a victim, wouldn't that be better? Now, yes, you face the abuse has come and gone, but are you going to be a victim? Are you going to be helpless, hopeless, powerless? The best choice is always not to be the victim. And so that's what's a partial solution for me to live, where when I see people being abused, I don't enter into that victim state. And the same thing too, when I get abused, that I don't enter into that victim state. And yeah, it's challenging. And for me, this is genetic programming. I am predisposed to enter into a victimized state when I am abused, which of course includes any kind of abuse, being lied to or cheated or taken advantage of, even the slightest ways. And I see that in my past, if I would have continued standing and not entered into that state, I could have done a lot more good. I could have done more good for those around me and to actually assist and support change. Because like I said earlier, it's always better to help the abusers, support them to change. That's always the best choice. To be a positive, to be an addition, to be a plus one where you're adding to the world and helping others to change. So in addition to all of this, after walking all of this that I've talked about so far in this video, I did find points of understanding, of points where I can change, and in a way find, let's say, relief, because what I do here is I then test myself again to see have I cleared everything up. And at this point I haven't yet, but I saw that I've done progression, so I have progressed in this understanding. So for me, I looked at what was the final piece. What is the thing here that will help me really resolve my reactions towards basically all this abuse that I'm seeing? For me, what I found was the physical. Those words, as well as everything they refer to. The physical. Where with physical reality, everything is always okay. There can be war, there could be terror, there could be all sorts of horrible things happening. But standing as and with the physical, that's always a point of stability, of support, of timelessness. Where everything else, all the emotions, all the thoughts, all the perceptions of abuse, everything that is going on with judgments and opinions, like dissolve away. It just like goes away, because the physical, what's important? which includes our physical bodies as well as this whole physical reality of plants, animals, this whole existence, and placing importance on that, and not placing importance within the mind definitions of a victim and abuser. It makes things a lot simpler. It actually tells the truth that the physical is what's real. Everything going on in our heads isn't real. That this is what's important, and each other is what's important, which is within the physical, not within our minds and what we perceive, believe. And so within that point, I see that as the final piece, as the point where I can stand within. And this is something that will add to my life, because within standing within this, I realize that there have been points where I've compromised myself, where, for example, I would really define, let's say, people as what's valuable in this world, which that's a statement I lived, where I defined, people are what's important. What I realized, though, is that the word physical encompasses not only people as the physical bodies of people, but also this whole existence as earth, animals, plants. And so the word physical is actually more encompassing of what's important. And it also doesn't include the mind point of illusion, of separation, where within the word people, we, at least I, tend to include everything within people, which gets easily confused within their minds, within their personalities, within, but with the word physical, that refers to the physical, which is their bodies. So if all of us were to place the physical as what's priority, so all the physical bodies of everyone, so that's healthy, happy, well, and all the physical bodies of all the plants, animals, this earth, this existence, where the physical is what's important, if we place that as a priority, things would be much better. Where, for example, we don't place importance within opinions, or ideas, or spirituality, or beliefs, or judgments, or perceptions, or personalities, where when you look at everyone, we see them equally as the physical. We don't see man or woman as a label. We see the physical body of man and woman, but we don't see man and woman as a label, as an idea. When we see people of different colors, we see the physical body of them, of the different shades of colors, but we don't see them as a perception of ideas of colors. And so you don't see, for example, nationalities. You just see people. You see their hands, you see their faces, you see their bodies. You just see the human body. And within that, we are all equal. We are all equally physical. We are all equally physical. All of us. And if we were to place that as what's important, then we wouldn't have reason to fight over ideas, religions, beliefs, perceptions, judgments. And life would be much better for all of us. So this is something that I'm going to be taking as an approach to life. The word physical. The word physical is something that Destini has spoken about for a long time. It goes back to the way beginning a process, where that was always emphasized as the point of self-honesty, as the point you can trust no matter what, the physical reality. And so I've worked with that before, but now I'm going to be working on it in a different way, in a little bit more in-depth way, and including it more within my words, within my sharings with people, and explaining about things and as being a solution. Because this is something that I've done many times before, is if when you take any problem in the world, any conflict, any problem, any argument, take any kind of argument or problem, conflict, and you look at it through the lens, through the eyes of the physical, you will see that conflict, problems, arguments, all of that dissolves. And I've tested this many times across various subjects. When you just look at things through the eyes of physical reality, things are really quite simple, quite clear, and a lot of the things, you then realize a lot of things that create conflict and fighting and argument are actually points within the mind as opinions, ideas, beliefs that aren't at all tied to physical reality, to facts, to how things physically work. So in all ways, it's always better to be physical. So that's my sharing for today. So I did this video as a point of sharing myself, things I already lived and realized today, and this is just my point of sharing. So thank you very much. Bye.